Alrighty, what is up, everybody? Terror here. Got my Shatter Chuck Lite build here. I've been running for quite a while now. I've been showing it on stream, that sort of thing. A lot of people were asking for a guide for Atziri because a lot of people were having problems killing her, getting to her, that sort of thing. You know, a few hang-ups. So we're just gonna go ahead and run through a run, and I'll just kind of explain everything as I go. Now, the things you need to bring into the fight kind of change depending on what stage of the build you're actually in. Like, for example, I have a 6 link, so it's going to kind of influence the rest of my gear. Now, I'm not going to go too heavily into specifics on the build. That's for another video. You can obviously check out the guide, the written guide, to kind of see the basics there. But I will go over kind of the differences. Now, if you don't have a life leech gem, you're going to want Warlord's Mark instead of increased duration in your higher level cast when damage taken. Really, it doesn't have to be that high of a level. It seems to work pretty well at any level. This is just kind of the one I keep it in. Also, if you are not running Righteous Fire, I do have Righteous Fire in my links. So if you're not running Righteous Fire, you're going to want to take this Removes Burning and probably switch it out for Removes Bleeding, just to have a little bit more safety versus the trio. And I'll kind of go over it as we get in there, but I don't want to talk forever before we actually get into the map. But the only other thing you can do is actually switch out Freezing Pulse and Arctic Breath. And I'll actually demonstrate that at the beginning here. It tends to be, I think, a little faster for clear speed. So let's go on in here. Make sure you have all of your buffs. Now, of course, I have Righteous Fire on, so we'll just go ahead, turn it on, and start rolling through here. And it's pretty cakewalk once you get to this point. Here, I'll turn items off, that way we can kind of see everything here. Just make sure to keep your Granite Flask up. That's going to be the biggest protection that you have for most of the damage going through the trash mobs. As far as elemental damage that these guys do, these guys, the Fallen, do elemental status effects, but they shouldn't be able to get close enough to you. Assuming that you play carefully. So not a big deal there. Just keep that Granite Flask up. Generally, you'll see me actually keeping all 3 of my defensive flasks up throughout, but just make sure that Granite's up. So we'll just keep going through here. And I'll come back for some loot. I don't want to spend forever picking stuff up while I'm explaining. But make sure to go straight to one of the Vaal. Like, see how this one over here hasn't started yet? Bam, there it goes. It just started. That's going to give us enough time to kill this guy and then run over and kill the other guy. I'm actually going to switch back to Arctic Breath. Now, once again, this is not necessary to do. It just makes things easier, since it does more damage. I'm going to go ahead and pop Vaal Molten Shell and Righteous Fire. Neither of which are necessary to do this, but they definitely make things easier. And there you have it. Now, even if you don't have Righteous Fire on, if I didn't have it on, which you can actually see in my 5-link video, you can still kill them before they can do anything. On occasion, Vaal will just go ahead and dip back into the ground the moment he spawns, and you won't be able to kill him. But the build's tanky enough, or resistant to elemental damage enough that you can fight them. Just don't get Vaal slammed. So we'll keep going here, and I'm just going to keep Arctic Breath on because typically I'm going to stop when I actually get to the trio, but typically you just want to run right into the trio and just go ahead and start engaging them when you have 6 power charges. We're not going to worry about full clearing or anything like that. I think, once you kind of do one area, it's the same all the way through. I don't have to rotate out my flasks or anything. Once you kind of have these ones down, which, speaking of which, I forgot to remind you guys, for the Vaal fight, make sure you have a lightning flask. Just a lightning flask. The laser and the ball lightning can do quite a bit of damage. So those are the important ones. They're important spells to watch out for. If you have a lightning flask, it's walk in the park. You'll have 97 res, approximately 95, 96, 97. You'll be good to go. And yes, this works without legacy gear. It's not a problem. Alright, now for this part, typically we would want, you know, I can get away with one bleed flask, especially after the patch, which makes bleeding, makes you immune to bleeding for the entire duration of the flask, which is pretty handy. But you can also have another bleeding flask over here. Make sure to have your granite, this never leaves. Always have that. And you need a ruby flask. Now the lightning one isn't necessary here. I can do this without rotating my flasks out. But you can actually, let's say you wanted to run like a quicksilver of staunching. That way you're pretty much immune to bleeding permanently, like a surgeon's quicksilver of staunching. And then, you know, your surgeon's ruby flask of warding, if you really wanted to min-max the fight out. So we can do that there. But we can actually gain charges off this guy. We're gonna go in, Righteous Fire, Molten Shell. Make sure you go straight over to this guy and dodge that physical rain right there. Alright, we're gonna kill him. We're gonna come to the middle here, and we're gonna chase this guy to a corner. He blew his whirlwind, then we kill him. Okay, make him burn his whirlwind, and then you can face tank him for a bunch of damage. Now that went by kind of quick, so we'll just kind of do a play-by-play. When you go in, make sure to go around this way. That way it'll kind of give you a moment to fight him without having the attention of her for at least a few seconds and the whirlwind guy. So burst him down here, right? Move over here to the middle and start killing the tentacle miscreation. Now the reason we do it in that order is because this guy, if he enrages, you know, because they get stronger the more of them you kill. If he enrages, he's going to kill you immediately with his reflect damage. Kills me immediately with, you know, 97 fire res. So it's some static amount that he reflects. It's not a percentage, it's a static amount. So, you know, when you're launching, you know, 8 barrage projectiles and then 5 fireballs and 5 arctic breaths per proc, that's a lot of fire damage coming back. So kill him first, ideally. We kill the tentacle miscreation next because she does a lot of physical damage. And physical damage, I wouldn't say it's a weakness in this build, but it's definitely on the more threatening aspects for monsters to have that you're fighting. So we kill her because of that, mostly because of the projectile rain. I mean, that like, if you actually saw it right there, you can go back and rewind the video. But if you saw it as I was right around here, I actually got hit by it twice. And luckily enough, the whirlwind guy was close enough that I actually leached off of him. But you even under granite, my health, you know, spikes pretty bad. So try not to get hit by that. But after that, pretty much just avoid the black spots. Okay, no black spots. They hurt really bad, so avoid those. Kite the whirlwind guy around. Now I try to keep him behind the pillars, because if, you know, the tentacle miscreations are coming out of the corpse, you know, they have to actually move around the pillar to shoot at you, which is what you want. That way, you know, you can kind of one-on-one, you know, over in one of the corners. But make him burn his whirlwind. Don't stand in the trail, so make him burn it. Run back a little bit so he runs out, and then you can just face tank him, right? Refer to my 5L video if you need to see how to do it without life leech in your main sockets. Still not that bad. If you have Warlord's Mark, you can face tank them just the same. So overall, not too tricky. You know, just keep your flasks up, and typically good to go. If you don't have Righteous Fire, the fight just takes a little bit longer. But I would absolutely 100% suggest Vaal Molten Shell and Life Leech. Absolutely, this makes the fight so much easier. You know, I've had times, you know, where I've had them bundled up and they were all just hitting me, and I almost killed all 3 of them at the same time. Granted, they get a full heal whenever one of them dies, but it makes the fight so much easier. So those 2, Vaal Molten Shell, Life Leech, and of course Vaal Pact, and we're good to go. So we'll keep going forward here. But that's probably the deadliest part of the Atziri encounter is the trio. You know, they're the ones that are going to take the most getting used to. Even you know, when I was on 5L, there were times when they would kill me. I didn't use the Vaal Molten Shell trick though, so that's just something I kind of found out later when I was kind of messing around with things to put on the build. So you guys shouldn't have any problems. And this looks like a dead end. Back over here. Ooh. Like I said, you can switch back to freezing pulse here if you want. If you want to. Nothing wrong with that. I think it really said it probably helps clear a little bit faster just because it penetrates. But you know, well, I guess I should use the correct terminology. It pierces. Penetration's an entirely different mechanic, and it also allows you to kind of get to these totems when they pop up. So just makes things a little easier. But you know, if you're lazy or if you've been doing this for a while, you're gonna start taking shortcuts. So your call. Your call. Let's go ahead and go up here. Of course, portal before the room. Now, if you're on a 5L, this is the part where you're going to take Assassin's Mark out. Because we want Warlord's Mark. That's much more important when we have it in this socket here. Because she's going to reflect curses, and the last thing you want to do is have her get a crit on you under Assassin's Mark if you're not prepared for it. Now, not only that, but Warlord's Mark, she gains very little benefit from. We gain much more benefit from Warlord's Mark than she does. So that's where you would typically take that out. If you're on a 6L, don't worry about it. You kind of have your Warlord's Mark built into your attack. Other than that, we just go straight in. And I'll fight her with Righteous Fire just so it goes faster. But it's just sort of the same thing. We're going to circle around, approach her from the side because she's going to start chucking spears at you usually. Keep your flasks up. And honestly, if you're at a point where you can run Righteous Fire with this build, you really don't have to worry about killing these guys since you're going to do enough damage to her. Once again, shortcuts, being lazy. But, you know, if you get through, it's not a big deal. Whatever. And when they're all dead, you can run up here like this and actually recharge your flasks on her, even though you're not doing damage. Now right here, because I'm using Righteous Fire, I just use a potion. Like, use the heal over time potion, it'll counter, for the most part, the Righteous Fire. But during that phase, once again, just keep your potions up. I'm in a little bit of trouble right here, I don't have a fire flask. So, there's the difference. Keep those potions up. Absolutely dodge these. When they're yellow like this, you do not want to get hit. They hurt a lot. Okay, so dodge those. Don't stand in those ones. It's like the double flame blast, though. You can tank the double flame blast once your stats get good enough. I would not try to tank the lightning bolts. I don't know what's in them, but it hurts. So, same thing. We're just blocking her here. There's the double flame blast. Now you can lightning warp out of it. I just run out of it. I have move speed built into my flasks. And another thing, I typically look for the one with the spear. It's easiest to spot. Obviously, don't hit the one with the mirror. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna have a bad time. Okay, you're gonna lose a portal. You're gonna lose experience. And yeah, just don't hit that one. You can go for any of the other ones, but ideally you want to hit the one with the flame hand or the spear, because those two can be shocked. And if you're shocking them, you're doing more damage. If you're doing more damage, there's less time that she's going to be out on the field, actually, you know, in quad form, doing lots of damage to you. But other than that, the fight's pretty easy. Keep your flasks up, and you can really just phase tank the majority of the fight. You're pretty much immune to most of the stuff she can really throw at you. You're welcome to use Vaal Molten Shell there. I never do. There's just not a good time to use it because she has so many phases. But that's all there is to it, guys. It's not a very difficult encounter once you kind of practice a few times. Don't be worried going in. I know, my heart was beating really fast the first time I did it. And, that's to be expected. It's kind of exciting, but you'll find your rhythm. And, I can hold full conversations with the stream while doing these runs at this point. Granted, my character's a little better geared than it used to be, but this is not insane gear that you saw, or that you see in the thread, in the guide. In fact, I pretty much funded this entire character with Chaos Orbs in a league where they weren't worth anything. So you can do it too. Just make slow upgrades. You'll get there. It's a fun build. Other than that, you're welcome to check out the guide, ask questions. I'll try to answer. Other than that, good luck on your own Atziri endeavors.